draws me in, I have no choice. As I rise through the air, your echo grows. I see time stand still as I'm watching the world below. I can hear you calling, calling, I can hear you calling, calling. I can hear you
If an individual had reached the real universes, therefore they had earned their access to it, but then they decided to go back into creation unconsciously and have up a whole bunch of more incarnations, what became of all that which the individual did earn to get into the real universes? Is that now swept aside and means nothing, or is it still there, like money in the bank? And when an individual decides to return and try again, they can open the bank immediately, rather than have to save up again, earn their way all over again. So is earning your way something required for awareness, or are these two separate things? So you can be the most aware person ever, but unless you earn your way, you haven't enough credit for a ticket to the real universes. Because as I remember you saying, you could become completely aware without ever leaving your bedroom, but you obviously could not earn your way from there.
That's a little misunderstood, but the idea is like this, Kevin. I'm sure that most of us, if not all of us, when we were young, we rode a bicycle, tricycle, then a bicycle. And then maybe for many, many years, we got involved. We went to school, we went to work, we did these things. We never rode the bike again for maybe 10, 20 years. But then all of a sudden, your friends are going out and they're going to go for a bike ride. And it's been a while. You're a little shaky, but you know how to ride that bike, right? You get back on it, and in a few moments, you're back in it, right? And so it's the same with this. I've seen it. I've seen people come and go and so-called come back. And I've seen the boys and what they do. They kind of have fun with this. In other words, it's like, okay, do this or do that. They make the individual go through a few things. And, because see, the idea is that in a way you have to, it's kind of funny, but kind of trick the personal self because it has its own ideas. But your real awareness, no, everything is. This is the idea too, to let people know that when somebody passes over, they're not going anywhere. Everything is here and now. They haven't left, they haven't whatever. They're all here and now. You can converse with them at any time. All of us are all here and now. And no, the experiences that we have, that is part of your real awareness. And so how you relate to that, but it's the personal self that confuses itself. You see, thinking that, oh, I lost my friend, or I don't know how to do this anymore, or I forgot, or, I'm not worthy anymore, or all these personal ideas, you see. No, life doesn't see it like that. Again, you look at the sun shining when you were 2 or 3 years old. You went outside, you saw the sun shining. Now you go out today, you're 40, 50, 60. Is there a difference? No, you might say it's the same. You see, this is what's so cool about the isness life is, and how worthwhile it is to take the time to recognize this instead of just running around this world chasing nothing and ending up in despair like you have every lifetime. You see, just take the time to see that. It's a great demonstration. It's your heart, it's your being. You can be like that and see from that. But you got to get through that personal self you've created, because you keep deciding to allow the personal self to decide for you, because that's how you've set it up, you see, and also others to decide for you. This is where, when we have relations here in the body forms, because in the real universes, it's not like that. It's being to being. It's so cool. And see, we're all aware, we see each other, we recognize what's going on. That's a real life. Here, it's nothing but struggle with relationships and all these emotional attachments, etc. And where does that lead? For the most part, so many people decide their life according to what others decide for them. And so there you are. You've decided, you see? So just like in book 2, yeah, Heather, you know, I thought we would be together on and on, but no, she decided her family life and her children. She's even more absorbed. I actually just saw her last month. She had stopped by. I hadn't seen her for a lot of years because she lives here in Huntington Beach. Now she's got 11 grandchildren. Boy, she is totally absorbed, and those are her kids. She controls them. She wants them. She's a fine lady, but at the same time, her emotional attachments and control and her arrogance, everybody stay away, these are mine, that's her attitude. She lives with those. And so if you listen to some of the tapes Claudia and I did with the Queen of Orion, I mean, this lady was 100% arrogant. You know, it was all about her and nothing else. She didn't care. And Orion, where the Orions live, it hits a lot worse than here. It's almost like Mars. The environment is a lot worse. The Orions want to leave. So we got a big adventure coming here. So that's another story. But again, yeah, this all becomes very interesting. And so this opportunity, it seems like it's something so far out. But as you really start to understand it and really take the time sincerely with your heart and being and everything, and not just emotions, that's not the idea. Sure, you can add that, but that's not the idea. It's seeing, it's learning to see and recognize it. You'll see that it's everything. But of course, you're not going to build a business on it, because this one-dimensional world is a business world. This is what it is. And you know, most people are thinking that life is like business, and even when they go into the astral realm, they drop this body. There's no businesses in the astral realm, unless there are places that are similar to the physical, which there are, and people have made those places and created. But it's amazing the experience that we go here. So really, again, it's you make the choices and you end up where you do, you see?
Okay, so the earning your way part of it that's more or less for proving to the ears that almost proving your intent, and it's more so for your own focus than actually a process that's been set up that you have to actually do in order to move further in the life levels.
Well, again, it's like a relationship here. Just think of a relationship that you've had, and you know, just like you with your parents, and you see the relationship, but it's not always genuine with people. Everybody has their attitudes, or many times it's usually somebody wants something for themselves, and many times they want something from others. This is how the world controllers have gotten a hold of everything. They've stolen everything, the Queen and all these people, the richest people in the world. Basically, they've stolen it from others through lifetimes, and then proclaim themselves as such and such, okay? And so people have agreed. And so they're submissive to that. So, yeah, it's an interesting situation, and it's all, again, it's all agreement with what's taking place. So, yeah, you're seeing it, young man. So you're the decider of that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I wanted to share some dreams I've had. So, I had a whole series of post-apocalyptic dreams. I haven't had these in a while. I used to have them quite a lot, and then there was a space where I didn't have any, and now they seem to have returned. And the whole theme of them, basically, was about survivors in this post-apocalyptic setting, and there always seems to be some sort of virus or contagion that was responsible for the post-apocalyptic setting. And the final dream I had that followed this series of dreams was that the infected people were somehow transformed into sort of cyborg zombies, almost like the Borg out of Star Trek. And what then followed was a final battle between these funny cyborg zombies and the survivors. And when all seemed to be lost, the survivors managed to destroy these funny cyborgy creatures, but unfortunately, in doing so, they also destroyed themselves and also the entire planet Earth. And after this had happened, I mean, I was among the survivors. This is where I was in the dream. And so after this had occurred, we all passed over, and we were in a new position, and we were all floating around in this strange place. And the floor, the ground, was like a strange, transparent, spongy membrane, and you could look through it. And we were looking through it, and we could see the planet Earth being reformed and repopulated. And I could see the layout of it, and the countries were exactly the same as you would see them depicted on a map. And I was looking at the UK island, and for some reason, all the populations of the countries they had all the numbers of the populations written upon them, and it said the UK island had about 20 or so people in it, and that was the end of the dream.
Well, there you go, young man. That's like a prophetic dream. So in other words, things occur accordingly to what has been decided. So it's like the stages you go through in building a house. The idea is you get the plans, you start it, you do the foundation, etc. So as you're watching this, okay, and so your dream along the lines, and we're seeing it, we're going through the stages where everybody's has become more mechanical, etc., and eventually confrontation, which you're seeing the revolts and everything, because people are only going to take so much, and then they're going to revolt, which they're doing all the time in their own particular way. So if they're making statements, or if they're out on the street with their little yellow jackets and throwing things around, etc. So again, you're seeing that, and it's the real side experience usually exaggerates itself, is what it does. And so you're seeing what's possible, what can come up because of the choices people make. Now, again, people can at any time choose not to do that. So, two armies can come together and meet on the battlefield. They're looking to battle, but all of a sudden they negotiate. Well, let's not do it. Let's think about it, and we'll see if we'll do it later. So again, it's free will, but according to what people are deciding, what's going on, etc., it's kind of preparing you. You might say, in case it's like a warning. In case this happens, get ready. This is how it is. And yes, the Earth can be prepared again, and that seems nice and cozy or whatever, but realistically, the Earth is a school. You're here to go through the personality, the personal side, to create it, etc. And the Earth will be created for you. Things will be, not necessarily created for you, but things will be redone in their own particular way. But through that experience, you're really going fast forward. All right. So it just depends upon how the situation comes about. But tomorrow night, you could have a similar experience, and it could be, totally different. Because again, it's as the shift in consciousness and what people decide, what you decide every day can be different. So one day, even though you've got your job, you can decide not to go to work. You see, that changes everything, doesn't it? That one thing. And because all of a sudden, then they may fire you. So that changes your whole life to where on the real side, you would have saw that, as you keep working and whatever, eventually you meet someone, you get married, you have kids, and, you live happily ever after. Let's say that's a good story, isn't it? But all of a sudden, one day you have free will, you decide to quit your job, and all of a sudden everything changes. because of that, because of what you've decided. So you're getting a little view, and it's kind of a warning too, and a heads up, and it's like prepare in case that does happen. And what will you do? You can be part of the battle, or you can sidestep it, you might say. See, you have many options to go by, and seeing the earth again down there. And again, you're going to decide if you're going to go back, because you're, like you say, the UK, etc., if you're going to go back and take part, or if you're going to explore and see more, you see? Yeah, so there's many ways to look at that. So it's life's interesting how it gives us, see, now you're more aware, and now you have more choices, you might see. And just like earning your way, you can keep going through this adventure, or you can decide to focus on the isness, yes, and earn your way. And the way you do that, it's really very simple. Right now what we're doing is we're presenting something to the world because the world needs help. That's the biggest way to earn your way, and also through your real awareness and recognition. And life knows, life sees your intent. It knows you can't hide anything from life. And so when you're totally sincere and your intent, in other words, the intent is to where life is first. And that little self, yeah, it's still there, but life is first. But you decide that. But most people, their personal life is first. It's very important to them, and they have a right. But they will never see the true reality of life is, and they will stay in creation and be the effect, because that personal self is first. So through that experience, young man, you can choose anything, or you don't have to choose anything, you see?
Okay, thank you, Duane. Yeah, I had another dream as well, and this time I was with my dad, and we were also accompanied by this Indian person, and we were all discussing all manner of spiritual paths and disciplines. I don't remember the specifics of what we were discussing. It was almost running on automatic, and it was more like a memory than anything, because many of these paths and disciplines I've never actually done or participated in this lifetime. And I also recognised this Indian individual too, and it seemed that in the dream that we were friends. And the dream, as I said, the whole thing seemed very, very familiar. So I'd either possibly dreamt it before, or maybe it was from another physical incarnation or something. And but even if it were based on a memory or a flashback to another where and when, while I was in the dream, after we had been talking about these various spiritual paths, I started to talk to him, this Indian chap. I started talking to him about the new presentation and giving an explanation of it, and about the new sound, etc. And he seemed very interested, but I think he basically considered it and labelled it another spiritual path, and decided that's what it was, and sort of left it there. And then later on in the dream, he actually joined another group of individuals, and got embroiled in another sort of spiritual practice. And it seemed to be some sort of strange martial arts that he was doing, and the practitioners of this martial arts practice seemed to be able to move very quickly in the blink of an eye. They could move from point to point. And then later on, me and my dad were walking away from this sort of scene, and we passed another Indian person. It was an Indian guru, and again I recognised this person. And I remember saying in the dream, I was saying to my dad, I haven't seen this individual in 12 years. And which was quite strange, because I've never seen this person before, as far as I remember, in this physical life, and yet he seemed very familiar. And apparently he was a magical guru, and it was quite amusing, because as we were passing him, he was singing a song, and he sung something like this. He was speaking in English, but he had an Indian sort of accent, and he sung, I am a magic man, see what I can do. And then the dream ended.
That's cute. Good for you. You're having cool experiences. Well, yeah, the real you on the real side, and then you come back here to the personal side. No, the personal side, you're starting to see has its own life, and there's really, you might say, two of you. That's the personal side, which is the five bodies, and the real you. No, you have relationships on the real side. That and it goes with me too. I don't see these people all over, but on the real side, I do. And I know them there. I know the situations. I recognize certain things. It's that recognition. And so this is where you start to see the difference between the two. And as you pay more attention to your real awareness, okay, that supersedes everything. And then from there, you see how the personal self is working, how you've set it up to work a particular way. Because for the most part, you think you're that personal self, but it's just something you occupy like a car. But yes, you're seeing other individuals, and you're sharing ideas, you're talking to them just like you would here. And there you go. And there's evidence right there. All of a sudden, you know, the 12-year thing, and you're sharing the new presentation, the new you with them, whatever. And that shows you, because again, see, you're getting that experience, you're given that experience, so you start to see the difference. Yeah, you have these little masters and gurus and the spiritual paths, and they do all these funny stuff, like especially in the astral realm, they can pop here and there and whatever, like in the movies. They can appear here and they pop around and whatever. You know, for the most part, the boys don't do that stuff. You know, because they're focused on the true reality. Real survival is the real universes. There's only struggle in creation. People chasing things, and you only struggle with it. But in the real universes, that's real survival. But just because these individuals can do all these magic tricks, well, again, just like the Callum God and everybody else, they're going to reincarnate. They're going to continually stay in these cycles, and so for a while they'll do that. And in past lives, you've done many of those things too. You've come through them. And so these are, in a way, one view is these are little refresher courses for you to have, you know, a comparison also to see. And so when you come back here, you're in a position to where you can be more objective about yourself personally, about the real you, which is occupying the personal self, and the experiences that you're being shown according to what's taking place in creation and in your personal life. You see, it's that objectivity and that comparison, and then you figure it out from there. You see? So, and yeah, there's once in a while somebody's going to sing a little happy tune. Those are fun, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, and one final dream as well. Yeah, when I was having a dream, I was speaking with this individual, and I was talking, and I started talking to this person about the is and the real universes. And as I was speaking to this person, I began to find myself getting very tired, and I suddenly had an inclination. I suddenly had an insight that there was something a bit funny going on, and this person was perhaps a bit dodgy, and so I began to sing the new you. And as I started to sing the new you, I saw, in fact, that this individual was some kind of weird snake, and it had wrapped itself around me almost like a parasite. But as I continued to sing the new you, it was made to release me, and then it slunk away. Then after that, I was in this strange place with all these twisted and strange-looking beings, and it was almost like the realm of the mutants. And they were all being very aggressive at first, but then again I started to sing the new you, and this seemed to dissolve their hostilities. And they then took me to their leader, and he was another misshapen mutant thingy. And he was somewhat annoyed that I wouldn't recognise his authority, and his magics seemed to have no effect on me, because I was singing the new you throughout the entire experience, and it seemed to effectively protect me from all the magics and the mutants, and also as I carried on seeing the new you, all these mutants and the leader began to become less mutant-like, and this was much to their delight, and they returned to something resembling humanoid. And then, just as I awoke from this dream, just as I was coming to waking reality, I heard a loud voice echo in my ears, and something or someone called me a freak. And I thought, cheeky mutants.
Well, yes, after you've gone through all that and done your part, and you're wonderful and shared what you have, and then, yeah, you end up, yeah, people think you're weird, right? Yeah, so again, are we? But that's not the idea. This is just how it is. But no, that's wonderful. Your adventures there are awesome, Kevin. They really are. And so, yeah, tell those over and over, write those down, do whatever, and make some groups about those, etc. And I know you're doing a lot, but yes, have fun with your adventure. But you're seeing what's going on, and the reason that people are distorted or they're reptilians or whatever is because of the choices that they've made for the longest time. And, you know, we've been caught up in, being young and growing old so many lifetimes. We're used to the pattern that it's automatic, it's unconscious, but now we have the chance to surpass all of that. So, yes, and you can do it here and now, right here and now. You don't have to go anywhere. It's not here or there. You have the experience of the movement or whatever, but after a while you see that it becomes an effortless reality, which is so cool. So you're doing it, young man. You're wonderful, and you see what comes from what you're doing. Yeah, it's so cool. Thank you for sharing.
Okay, thank you, Duane.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, kids. Thank you, Glenn. Miss Gwen, your sweethearts. This is terrific, and your experiences just great. Yes, it's good to know you. Thank you for stepping up. We'll see you again.
Draws me in, I have no choice. As I rise through the air, your echo grows. I see time stand still as I'm watching